Let's take a look at the state of the economy with Ayo Teriba here and Wale also supporting him. Now, the president on Tuesday presented Budget 2018 before the National Assembly. Now, what are the highlights of that budget? And what are the implications for being able to implement the budget and achieve the stated objectives? Budget of consolidation, it is called. And the idea of consolidation, according to the president, is to consolidate on what Nigeria has been able to do, pulling itself out of recession in 2018. You see consolidation or you see promises that may be sabotaged again by the crisis of implementation. What do you see?
Yeah. Well, I'm not an economist like Doctor here, but it is clear we have begun to, move out of recession really. We could see a few things changing, and we're hoping that we'll be able to sustain that tempo. That said, the fact that the President was able to double down on infrastructure, which means the Ministry of Works, Power and Housing has been given a very good focus in this budget, shows the President's commitment, to improving infrastructure across the country. And that, of course, is a good way of looking ahead if he must really, stabilize the economy. But I've not really analyzed or gone through the details, but I will be thinking or hoping again that apart from infrastructure, the president will give equal or better, focus to education too, because education is another area that government has to look into. So I'm hoping that that forms part of the highlight if indeed we're actually looking up to stabilizing and consolidating the economy.
Well, the budget is 8.61 trillion.
Yeah, 8.6, yes.
With a benchmark of 45 naira per barrel crude oil, with the estimation of about 2.3 million barrels per day, and inflation at 12%, and annual growth rate at 3.5%. Now, you are the economist, the analyst. How realistic are these projections?
Well, the underlying projections are realistic. Some of them might be cautious, conservative. If, benchmarking the oil price at $45 a barrel, when the prevailing price is $20 higher than that, is quite conservative. So 2018 is likely to be a year in which you see more revenue from oil than we've seen since 2015. And that's good. So it puts the government in a good place. You expect that there should be more money to fund the budget.
You are saying that it's part of the volatility of that market?
Well, the likelihood is that you should be able to get an average of 60 in 2018, unlike, 43 in 2016. Yeah.
And what is the assurance that as we go into an election year, there will be no stability in the Niger Delta area to sustain the projected 2.3 million barrels per day?
Well, the president did speak to that in his speech, and he said that we cannot afford a slide back into. So whatever they have done to come to the ceasefire, I think the government should do.
Sustain it.
Yeah, so let's, expect that the price will be better than the benchmark and that the production will be closer to what the president projects. My problem, with the budget is this is President Buhari's third budget, and each of the three budgets, I get a feeling, you would want to see a stronger push to try and use the budget to stimulate the economy. 8.6 trillion, it's 8%, 8.5% of the economy.
That's the highest since 1999.
You don't judge highest by looking at the nominal figure. This budget is only 16% bigger than the one of
last year's.
And the inflation rate now is also 16%. So it's no growth on the previous year's budget, yes. The economy has grown. So relative to the economy, it's a smaller fraction. Okay. You know, that won't stimulate the economy that is coming out of recession. So I think that the government has revenue options that they are, you know, not seizing the opportunity to realize them. And I think that deficit, you know, trying to borrow, Nigeria's prospects are not as bad, you know, as the talk about debt, you know, seem to suggest. Nigeria has better prospects, better non-debt options. For example, if you, income is weak, you want to raise money, you can do equity rather than debt. Nigerian government can give chance to investors to own some of the things it currently owns. You know, we own the budget did speak about restructuring government's ownership in joint venture. We want to realize only 2 billion from it. I think we should have pushed harder on that no debt, you know, equity. And then the government has a lot of assets that they could unlock liquidity from,
but
which they are not.
Will it make a difference if government borrows and, you know, what is borrowed is used to service maybe the local debt and stimulate infrastructural development?
Even that's a problem because the deficit is 2 trillion and debt service is 2 trillion. So it means you are actually borrowing just to service debt. You are not borrowing to invest. You are not borrowing to develop. So it tells you that you might have got to the limit of
what do you think of the margin between recurrent and capital expenditures? Recurrent is still higher than capital, but the gap, you know, the margin is not as wide as
my problem isn't the gap between recurrent and capital. My problem is the level of the total revenue. And you should be budgeting maybe twice the size of budget you are doing.
Then very quickly, Wale, you are not an economist, but there's a political side to it. The budget for last year was implemented only to the tune of about 12% or thereabouts because capital expenditure was not cash backed. So effectively, the budget didn't quite work.
Yes.
Now, we also have this issue of delay in preparing the budget.
Yes.
Delay in passing it into law. And in fact, last year, delay in signing the budget into law. Yes. And there was that back and forth. At the end of the day, there was little time left to even do anything with all the constraints of procurement. What will you be saying to the National Assembly and the executive?
I think the Senate President, Dr. Bulkasa, summed it up when he said it's moving forward, it's a better relationship from that point. And with the new SGF, who I understood was, you know, had gone ahead of the president, you know, to do some, you know, legwork, and was even long after the president had left, stayed behind to see, you know, meet with the lawmakers and all that. I think there is likely to be a better relationship. In fact, this actually is going to be the best of the budget so far, I want to reckon. And looking ahead, I think we won't do badly with this. I mean, especially that the president has tried to tighten that time frame, that fiscal cycle of January to December with this early presentation. I think we should expect something good, ultimately, between the two of them.
Well, quickly, let me come back to the economists. I know some Nigerians have said, look, instead of this annual episodic presentation of budget and problems with implementation, which is, you know, a big issue, why don't you have budget cycles, say 4 years, you know, so that you can plan ahead? What do you think?
Well, I mean, you already discussed the budget assumptions. Assumptions change yearly. We've discussed the volatility of the oil price. In 2014, we had about $100 a barrel. In 2016, we had $45 a barrel. So today, it's above $60 a barrel. So if you have a 4-year budget, on what year in particular are you going to? So you still have to do annual budgeting, and I think what's been advised is that we try to do it more quickly. The president did state in his speech that he hoped that the National Assembly will pass this before 1st of January. So we can only hope.
I think you can actually safeguard the. You can be some degree of safety around the assumptions, and then probably yearly. You say, for instance, you're doing a 4-year cycle, and then yearly, what you just do is a review of some of the elements that may have changed, and then you just keep that cycle.
Well,
I think it's possible.
Well, it's a matter of perspective. You've been watching This Day Live, the Sunday talk show here on Arise News. I'm Reuben Abati. From my entire team and I here in Lagos, bye for now, and thank you very much for watching.